Hello and welcome to the FA Cup semi-final live. Here I've got the commentary, but first let's go to the lineups. We'll start off with Nottingham Forest as Matt Sells starts in net. Abbott has got his Nottingham Forest debut at right back. Murillo and Milenkovic remain in the starting 11 after their 2-1 against Tottenham. So does Toffolo at left back. Danilo and Nicolas Dominguez are going to be, well, we suspect in them defensive midfield roles. Anderson on the left, Gibbs White in the central attacking role, but you know where he goes. Hudson-Odoi on the right hand side, we expect, and Chris Wood is the main man up top. Stefan Ortega Moreno is in net for Manchester City. Nunez, Gvardiol, Diaz and O'Reilly means an unchanged backline for the Blues. Rico Lewis and Mateo Kovacic slide into the defensive midfield options. Grealish is expected on the left, Silva in the attacking midfield option, Savinho out on the right, and Omar Mamouche up top, who is obviously filling in for Erling Haaland, who is injured. We got a good one today. It's the FA Cup. We got it live, because we love it. The FA Cup has delivered some good things, and the winner of this will face Crystal Palace in a hunt for glory. Who will win? We'll find out as we're live. As Matt Sells lost it long early in the game. Manchester City, well, they've had a long ball from a goalkeeper that's resulted in a goal early in the game. Toffolo. Hudson-Odoi on the left. Back Toffolo. Murillo back to Matt Sells. Nottingham Forest in yellow and white. Man City in their yellow and white also. Yellow and white? What am I talking about? Nottingham Forest in red and white. City in sky blue and white. Here's Jack Grealish. 1 point separating the two teams in the Premier League as that hunt for European football goes on and on. Here's Nunez. Back to Diaz, who's walking in line with a D. Mateo Kovacic. Inside the centre circle, Grealish, Kovacic. Across to Ruben Diaz. Kovacic, Bernardo Silva. Savinho is nice and central. It'll be nice to see how the Blues line up. Here's Kovacic. Running, driving into the main man, Rico Lewis, who fires home for Manchester City. Well, Man City have not had, well, they've had a lot of early goals here at Wembley, and they've got another one. It's Rico Lewis. Boom. Early doors, Man City. Lovely, lovely strike from Rico Lewis. It was Mateo Kovacic who broke down Villa to find Rico Lewis, who flung the shot past the crowd of Nottingham Forest players. And it is 1-0 to the boys in blue here at Wembley. It was a perfect, sublime finish. He escaped his man, and he scored. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Man City 1, sliding into the final. Boom, bada boom. Rico Lewis on the score sheet. Kovacic. Here's Ruben Diaz. Well, Rico Lewis just had that ball in the D, thought he'd go for it, and boom, it's paid off. It's City who lead early in this game with 4 minutes in. And well, we're in for a game. Here's Gvardiol. Back to Ortega. Diaz. Inside to Mateo Kovacic. In the centre circle. Finds Bernardo Silva. Mateo Kovacic to Ruben Diaz. Here's Nunes, who releases Savinho in the penalty area on the right side. But the cross is blocked by Murillo. And well, City are being dominant. And well, Nottingham Forest look weak. Kovacic back to Josko Gvardiol. Here he is, trying to break, he will. Past Chris Wood and Grealish. Silva, Kovacic in the centre circle. Try to find Matheus Nunes, but the ball had too much on it. It goes out of play for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. Or does it? It's a throw-in. About a metre from the corner flag. The right-hand side one. Or the left for Nottingham Forest, the near side. We'll also ensure that we have live updates from the important title decider in the Premier League. Liverpool against Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Josko Gvardiol. It's the first shot of the game that changed it. It's Rico Lewis in the Hall of Fame. Here's Jack Grealish back to Gvardiol. Ruben Diaz. Here's Rico Lewis, the goal scorer. Ruben Diaz, Josko Gvardiol. Back to Ortega Moreno. Walking to Ruben Diaz. Carries it across to Josko Gvardiol, left-hand side. Midway inside his own half. Here's Kovacic. Central inside his own half. Ruben Diaz to Savinho on the halfway line. Back to Ruben Diaz, right-hand side of the centre circle. Back to Josko Gvardiol. In the centre circle with Bernardo Silva. Back to Ruben Diaz. City have been really dominant on the ball. And I'll tell you the possession stats. Because City, I don't think that Nottingham Forest have had much ball. Man City have had 85% possession compared to Nottingham Forest 15. Here's Mateo Kovacic driving inside Nottingham Forest half, but plays Josko Gvardiol on the halfway line. Here's Ruben Diaz trying to break for Manchester City. Bernardo Silva driving in the penalty area, plays it across. And it was... Who was it? it was Danilo, I think it was, who touched it. There are shouts for a handball there. Let's have a look. It came off his badge of his shirt, off his shoulder, off his chest. Clearly no handball there, but there were shouts. Good throw in line with the penalty area. On their side is Ruben Diaz. City are attacking left to right, Nottingham Forest right to left. As City have a throw in with Nico O'Reilly, Josko Gvardiol, Bernardo Silva inside his own half, driving in the centre circle, finds Mateo Kovacic, who goes to the near side, is Nunes inside. Is Kovacic who's driving, heavy touch though, and it could be cleared away by Murillo, goes out of play for a corner on the far side. And well, if the game goes on like this, it could be a goal fest, because there are spaces for City to run into, and well, not good for Nottingham Forest. It's poor from them, as Manchester City have a corner on the far side. It was right underneath the goalkeeper, that corner from, I think it was Omar Marmoush. Here's Savinho on the near side against Danilo. Savinho cuts back. Nates Nunes, flick was heavy, and Morgan Gibbs-White can find it. Here's Anderson, near side, but midway inside his own half. Murillo. And it's back to square one for Nottingham Forest, as Gibbs-White has it, tries to flick forward for Tunadoy. But Mateo Kovacic wins it back, he's driving. Finds Jack Grealish out wide, left side, far side to Omar Mamouche, who finds Grealish, who's in the area, goes down under a bit of pressure. Kovacic. Mamouche, who takes a shot, but it takes a wild deflection, and Toffolo can head it away for a throw-in. But really good play, really good link-up play from Omar Mamouche, Kovacic, and Jack Grealish. As Matheus Nunes has a throw for the boys in blue. It's Bernardo Silva. And there was an offside offence, I think, by Matheus Nunes. No, it's a throw-in to Manchester City. It's a free kick that Marmouche will have a look and think he'll aim it at the far post. It's on the near side, just in line with the penalty area. Savinho's also standing over it. But Matt Sells and Nottingham Forest have been fairly comfortable when defending. Here's Omar Mamouche with the free kick straight at Danilo. Here he is, tried to find Hudson-Odoi to break, but City win it back. Here's Bernardo Silva back to Rico Lewis on the halfway line. Here's Mateo Kovacic inside to Bernardo Silva, halfway line. Josko Gvardiol breaking left. Stops. Mateo Kovacic driving. Finds Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish with a run. Out wide to Nico O'Reilly, and it's a little flick from Jack Grealish right to the hands of Matt Sells. It's wave after wave. A City attack here at the moment. Here at Wembley. It's 1-0 to Manchester City. We're 13 minutes into the game. And, well, Liverpool's title charge is not going well, because they're one down. It's Dom Solanke with a goal in the 12th minute for Tottenham Hotspur. It's Liverpool 0, Tottenham 1 at Anfield. The title could be going away. They just need a point from this game, and they've got it. Here's Josko Gvardiol. Finds Nico O'Reilly driving. Finds Omar Mamouche on the far side. Inside is Jack Grealish, who's running. Tried to find Nico O'Reilly's run in the penalty area, but couldn't. But it's good play from Manchester City. Ryan Yates and Nico Williams on the touchline. On the bench. Well, they're on the bench. They're off. But you get the flow. Matt Sells walking in his own area. Matt Sells lofted long. On the near side is Anderson, who's got a good bit of skill to evade the Man City press. Here's Morgan Gibbs-White. Danilo. Back to Dominguez on the halfway line is Danilo again. But his pass goes out of play due to a deflection off of Bernardo Silva, and it will be a throw-in to Manchester City. Toffolo. Chris Wood with a little flick. Can't find Hudson-Odoi. Gibbs-White can't get it. It's intercepted, and here's Jack Grealish to break. Has to find Omar Mamouche on the far side against Abbott. Can he bully him? Omar Mamouche inside to Jack Grealish. Back to Mamouche, who goes for the shots, and it flies whistle over the crossbar. It was about 20 odd yards out. Thought he'd have a go. He was unmarked, had a bit of space, but it just dropped too late. Well, Nottingham Forest have not had a shot yet. Toffolo headed to Anderson, back to Danilo. Midway inside his own half is Murillo. Finds Abbott driving in Manchester City. Here's Hudson-Odoi with the turn. Back to Danilo. A couple of yards away from the centre circle. Here's Dominguez. Back to Danilo, who's going to put a ball over the top to Hudson-Odoi, but Josko Gvardiol was in front of him and had it comfortably. There's Nico O'Reilly. Kovacic with a nice ball through to Matheus Nunes, who's unmarked. He can run it. Matheus Nunes has to slow down because they're back. Bernardo Silva and Josko Gvardiol in the centre circle. Here's Josko Gvardiol, just walking, standing still, across to Ruben Diaz. Finds Matheus Nunes on the near side. Back to Rico Lewis. Back to Mateo Kovacic, Ruben Diaz. Inside to Jack Grealish, who's driving midway inside the Nottingham Forest half. Is Nico O'Reilly far side. Josko Gvardiol inside to Kovacic midway. Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz with a little ball over to Nico O'Reilly, who's standing still and can give it back to Josko Gvardiol. Mateo Kovacic has been so instrumental. Here's Dominguez. Anderson can't break because Mateo Kovacic is there. One back. Here's Savinho, who's only bombarded and has to go back to Nunes. Here's Savinho again. Finds Nunes out wide. Back to Bernardo Silva. Kovacic tried to find Savinho in the area, but Murillo clears. And City fancy it. They're doing well. Here's Matias Nunes, Rico Lewis inside to Matias Nunes, but the sliding tackle from Dominguez, from Toffolo, I beg your pardon, denies him. Well, Luis Diaz has equalised the play, and if it carries on like this, scoreline is 1-1 at Anfield. Well, Liverpool have won the Premier League. But we want the FA Cup. That's more magic. Here's Bernardo Silva with the corner on the near side. Puts it in at the far post, but headed away by Ruben Diaz. And flicked away by Abbott. Here's the corner kick taker. Bernardo Silva with a little ball back post that can find the hands of Matt Sells. Here's Murillo. Back to Matt Sells in his 6-yard box. Here's Matt Sells. Well, this is a weird thing because, if I dare say, Marmouche is more playing on the left-hand side, and Jack Grealish is playing as the striker. Well, Dominguez has lost it. It's Bernardo Silva racing down is Savinho with only space to run into, but he's brought off the ball by Anderson, who shields it. Murillo with a pass to Danilo. Nottingham Forest tried to break his. Morgan Gibbs-White in the Nottingham Forest half, but the pass through to nobody really. Ricocheted off Matias Nunes, who now has it inside to Mateo Kovacic in the centre circle. Here's Nico O'Reilly inside to Jack Grealish. And it's back to Matt Sells. Apologies for the interruption there. I'm not sure how long we were off, but hope not for long. Here's Ortega. NSD. Marcelo Kovacic. Moreno under pressure by Chris Wood. Ruben Diaz. Through the legs of Anderson. Back to Ruben Diaz. Here's Matías Nunes on their side. Breaking away from Danilo. He's shoved down. But the referee's given the throw to Nottingham Forest. It went out of play when he went down. It's Hudson-Odoi inside to Gibbs-White, back to Milenkovic in the D. Here's Dominguez to Toffolo near side. Tries to find Hudson-Odoi, but Bernardo Silva's in front of him. And Kovacic clears. But only to Anderson. Milenkovic forced back to Sells in his own D. Here's Bernardo Silva. It's 0-1 to Manchester City. 27 minutes in. Here's Omar Mamouche. Kovacic driving inside from the far side. Here's Bernardo Silva in the centre circle. Driving with a little ball over to Matías Nunes, who gets past Anderson with ease, puts a cross in, but away by Abbott. Here's Gibbs-White trying to break, but O'Reilly does well to keep it with a lovely bit of skill from him. He's going to unleash one far of the near post. Lovely, lovely skill from the youngster. And his shot whipped past the near post on the right side. Ruben Diaz clears. Toffolo with a clearance up towards Chris White. Kovacic back to Ruben Diaz, about a third in his own half. Kovacic midway. Bernardo Silva meets in the middle, but near side. Here's Bernardo Silva back to Ruben Diaz. Josko Gvardiol far side. Back to Ortega Moreno in his own area. Finds Bernardo Silva driving. Kovacic to do the same. Finds Savinho on the halfway line. He's looking to break with a lovely little through ball to Matías Nunes, who produces a cross but cleared away by Murillo. And Anderson can only just keep it in play, as Ruben Diaz has a bit of pressure. Here's Danilo. Out to Gibbs-White in the centre circle, but the pass was overplaced to Hudson-Odoi, who was offside nevertheless. So it stands 1-0 to Manchester City, and we are 30 minutes in. Ruben Diaz is going to take the free kick about halfway inside the Man City half. Kovacic. Ruben Diaz back to Ortega. Lofts it long to Nico O'Reilly, who's looking to break, cuts inside. Rico Lewis, midway inside Nottingham Forest half. Here's Savino on the edge of the area. Right side. But the shot deflected. Anderson heads away, halfway inside his own half. Here's a little flick on from Jack Grealish, who's brought down, but Nico O'Reilly retains it back to Silva on the far side. Here he is again, cutting inside, across to Savino. Going further out wide, to the near side. Here's Matthias Nunes, near side. Matthias Nunes. Back inside to Savino. Kovacic. Inside to Grealish. City are somewhat dominating here. Here's Jack Grealish inside to Savino, who's whipping through, but the clearance from Murillo came off the back of Savino, and nevertheless, and he's making the Nottingham Forest fans roar. The volume needs turning up here at Wembley. Is Ruben Diaz, a third in his own half. Here's Josko Guardiol. Kovacic breaking in the centre circle. Here's Rico Lewis. Finds Matthias Nunes out wide. On the near side. Inside to Marmouche. But here's Bernardo Silva. Across to Nunes. Silva. Marmouche. And it's 3-1 at Anfield. Liverpool are that close to touching the title. It is Cody Gakpo with the goal in the 34th minute. Here's Chris Wood with a lovely bit of skill to win the ball back. Kovacic nearly tackled. And good from Toffolo to retain the ball. As Jack Grealish shoves Anderson down to help stop an attack building up. No booking because it wasn't sort of stopping the attack. It was just smart fouling from him. The dark arts, one might say. Matt Sells launches it long. Chest of Chris Wood finds Gibbs White to Hudson-Odoi in the area, and Gibbs White, but turned wide after pressure from Guardiol and Ortega. That's better from Nottingham Forest, but I think that Hudson-Odoi was offside nevertheless. Here's Bernardo Silva. Well, Guardiol did have it. It did sort of rebound off the leg of Chris Wood, because he couldn't get the required touch to turn it in, and it's wide. But it was offside, so it doesn't matter anyway. Here's Josko Guardiol. Ortega Moreno. Just about kept in play by Omar Marmouche. Milenkovic. Inside to Danilo. Murillo. Headed away by Josko Guardiol. Nico O'Reilly can just about keep it. Here's Mateo Kovacic inside to Bernardo Silva, can get the required touch, and here's Toffolo trying to break, but has to force it back to Danilo, Dominguez, Anderson, Milenkovic in his own centre circle. Here's Hudson-Odoi on the far side, but a solid tackle by Mamamouche, and Gibbs White tried to win it back off Nico O'Reilly. He kicked him, and that's a free kick. Here's Savinho, Rico Lewis. The opening goal from Rico Lewis has put Man City into it, and they are solid on the ball. Here's José Guardiola back to Ortega Moreno. Bernardo Silva. Back to Ortega. Ruben Diaz near side of his own penalty area. Here's Kovacic breaking across to Jack Grealish, midway inside his own half. He's driving in the centre circle, finds Savinho running into space, into men. The shot came off of the Nottingham Forest defender and it's cleared away. But only to Nico O'Reilly. Kovacic on the halfway line. Ruben Diaz, Savinho, Bernardo Silva with a little chip ball aimed at Rico Lewis, but cleared away by Murillo. Here's O'Reilly, Kovacic. Here's José Guardiola. Well, the last time that Rico Lewis started was against Crystal Palace in that 5-2 win. And the next time, well, if City win this game, they could play Crystal Palace in the final. And, well, Rico Lewis does have a good goal record against the blue and red. Here's Nunez. Back to Ruben Diaz on the halfway line. Here's José Guardiola back to Ortega. Bernardo Silva. Mateo Kovacic in the centre circle. Bernardo Silva as well. Kovacic out wide to Marmouche, far side. Running inside. Couldn't find Nunez, and Toffolo clears away for a throw into Man City on the halfway line with 40 minutes in. And City are dominant. City are 1-0 up. Here's José Guardiola. Ruben Diaz. Here's Nico O'Reilly breaking. Little tug from Danilo. Play goes on. Stopped by Abbott. Here's Jack Grealish. Omar Marmoush, Kovacic, out wide to Mateus Nunes, near side, past Anderson, inside outside, but Anderson strong to win it back, and he will win it back. Urged away by Murillo, and the City are changing formation constantly. It's hard for me to keep up with it. Well, City have put Nottingham Forest under so much pressure. Here's a bit of overcrowding on the near side. Savinho loses it to Danilo. Here's Kovacic. Here's Savinho loses the ball. Here's Hudson-Odoi trying to break. Hudson-Odoi inside to Gibbs-White. Here's Toffler out wide. And Gvardiol's come out. And Gvardiol does well to defend and bolsters it at Kovacic, who leaves it out of play for a goal kick. And Josko Gvardiol, really good defending there. We're 43 minutes into this. Here's Josko Gvardiol with a switcher play to Mateus Nunes, and has a good touch. And he's driving, can't find Marmoush because Abbott clears. Here's Nico O'Reilly. Jack Grealish out wide to Marmoush. Marmoush pushed off the ball by Abbott. And Cilia got a free kick in a dangerous position. It's Marmoush and Bernardo Silva standing over it. I think it's Bernardo Silva to take. Men are up here. Bernardo Silva to take. Back post. Aim towards Gvardiol, but headed away by Toffolo for a city throw about a yard or two from the corner flag. It's Nunes who will take it after a bit of to and fro. Here's Mateus Nunes with a little flick, but Anderson it came off, but the official said it came off Nunes last. It's going to be a Nottingham Forest error, about a yard or two from the corner flag on the near side. Launched upwards by Toffolo. And Ruben Diaz failed to clear away. Hudson-Odoi pressured. Bernardo Silva with a little flick. Couldn't find Savino. Toffolo with a pass that ricocheted off Savino's back. And Kovacic can find it on the halfway line. Back to Ruben Diaz. Halfway in his own half is Kovacic. Bernardo Silva. Back to Kovacic. Inside to Bernardo Silva. Back to Kovacic. Across to Gvardiol's 1 minute of extra time on this 45 minutes. They've been blue dominated. And Josko Gvardiol tried to find Nico O'Reilly, but Milenkovic heads away. Milenkovic back to Sells, who lofts it long. Silva with a sliding challenge, can't retain. Here's Toffolo, can he break? He's got space on the near side, but his pass back came off Savino, but kept in play by Matheus Nunes, denying it for a corner. He lofts it long, but Milenkovic can get it. Murillo, inside to Danilo. Murillo, Milenkovic, who's Dominguez. Anderson, back to Milenkovic. Here's Anderson. And that's half time. Blue. Well, that's the only words I have to say. Because, well, Nottingham Forest have not been good. They've not had a shot yet in the entirety of the game. It's Lewis who fired home, 1 minute 50 into the game. And it's Nottingham Forest 0, Man City 1. See you in a couple of minutes. Ta-ta. Hello and welcome back to the Wembley for the FA Cup semi-final. It's Nottingham Forest against Manchester City, and the Blue Boys have been the dominant side as they come back out the tunnel for what will be a monumental second half and a big 45 minutes for both sides. Rico Lewis the difference. He's done good. And there will be one substitution for Nottingham Forest. I'm just going to have a look. There is definitely one for Anthony Langer will come on for Danilo. That's the confirmation there. And I reckon that it will be Anderson dropping in. More Callum Hudson-Odoi. And Elanga on the right. No changes for Manchester City as far as I'm aware. As we kick the game back off. Nottingham Forest kicking from left to right. Man City kicking from right to left. As there's an early throw on the halfway line for Nico O'Reilly. Near side, but one back by Anderson. Sells with a little ball to Danilo, who clears it away, but Rubendas can head away. Savinho headed away again. And here come Nottingham Forest early. Here's Elanga! He's blazed it wide of the far post. And so nearly there for Anthony Elanga. The wingers were wonderful. He just hit it a little bit. And he really should be better finishing from that area. He just skewed it slightly. And it was a poor finish from Anthony Elanga. That is Nottingham Forest's first chance of the game. And I'll tell you the XG on that. 43 XG. But yet he didn't score. Anthony Elanga has just given Nottingham Forest something to think about here. As the ball goes out of play for Nottingham Forest, so far side in the final third, but Rico Lewis clears. Here's Murillo. Nottingham Forest really urging for something. Here's Murillo. Headed away by Nico O'Reilly, and Marmoush can't break. Anderson is penalised for what I think is a handball. Well, Nottingham Forest don't have the best stats, and they've not had today, but look where they are. They are in a Champions League position, and, well, they're doing alright. Compared to, 5 or so years ago, when they're down in the Championship. Here's Nunez, far side. Running back because Dominguez is pressing him. Ruben Diaz. Bernardo Silva. With a looping ball to Josko Vardio. The near side is Nico O'Reilly. looking to drive, but passes inside to Omar Marmouche. Back to Josko Gvardiol on the halfway line. Turns away, here's Marmouche. And pressured back is Josko Gvardiol by Gibbs White and Wood. Back to Ortega, who gives it to Rico Lewis. Here he is with a little ball to Matias Nunes. Here's Rico Lewis again, sliding tackle, but wins it back. Here's Savinho, Rico Lewis with a cross to face the goal, but saved by Matt Sells on the on the far post. There's Matias Nunes with a little shot, but saved by Matt Sells and Kovacic. It was nearly in, and Matt Sells has somehow, with his feet, scrambled it out of the net. Superb save. He is Forest saviour, as it took a crucial deflection off Abbott. Really, really lovely. It was Kovacic who went for it on the volley. Did it go off the hands of Abbott? It was a natural position. But really, really... Ooh! Now then. The check is cleared and complete. There will be no penalty. His hand was in a deemed in a natural position. It did hit his hand. No debate about it. Here's Marmouche with the corner on the near side. Far post and headed in! Gvardiol goal! He's certainly scored a lot of headers. And he's done it now at a crucial, crucial time. Josko Gvardiol, fire! He could not let it slip. And he's paid back the debt. Matt Sells, well, he's undone. His positioning could have been better, but there's no stopping that header. City have their revenge. It's Forest 0, City 2. There's no coming back now. It's going to be a hard ask. As Gvardiol, his goal, puts City in front by a 2-goal cushion. Here's Murillo on the halfway line. With a looping ball forward to Gibbs White, who's brought down in the area. A good challenge though from Nico O'Reilly. And it goes out of play. Nottingham Forest throw. Back to Anderson. Here's Murillo. Back to Dominguez. Nicholas Dominguez to Anderson. Dominguez. Here's Callum Hudson-Odoi, far side, driving at Rico Lewis. Here's Toffolo with a flick in, but flicked away by Kovacic to Dominguez, who can only find Rico Lewis, who's driving under pressure by Gibbs White and Anderson. He goes down, and there is a free kick to Manchester City on the halfway line in between the centre circle and the far side. Ruben Diaz is gonna take it. Matt Sells picks it up. Here's Nico O'Reilly, but headed away for a throw in. Abbott will take. Back to Dominguez. Matt Sells in his own area. He's got Danilo and Milenkovic next to him. But he opts to go long. And find Chris Wood, who's being brought back. And Josko Gvardiol can get it. Here's Rico Lewis with a good bit of skill to retain it. From Dominguez and Anderson. Here's Savinho. Driving in the area. He's going to play it across the face goal. But Marmouche can't get it. Abbott was in front of him. And Jack Grealish is going to pick up a booking. He clipped the head of Gibbs White. No intention. Lovely run from Savinho though on that right side. Really, really good run. Let's have another look at that goal. Matt Sells came out a little bit, but he could have come out and just completely won it, but you can't argue with that. And you can see pure passion from the citizens of Manchester. Here's Anderson. Bernardo Silva intercepts Ortega. Under pressure on Chris Wood, has to go short. Bernardo Silva with a switch play. And Nico O'Reilly can't get the required touch, goes out of play for a throw in. Alanga back to Milenkovic. Halfway inside his own half. Matt Sells in his D. Here's Toffolo. Little ball to Hudson-Odoi, but Rico Lewis in front of Toffolo. "58 seconds after the restart, Alanga had a bursting chance, but, well, now it looks like Manchester City will be going through to the coveted FA Cup. Final. Abbott back to Sells, who will loft it long. Gvardiol's goal-scoring heads it away. Dominguez. Toffolo is under a bit of pressure from Savinho. Can find Dominguez across to Milenkovic, who's just running away from the Grealish pressure. Back to Murillo. Here's Toffolo far side. Finds Hudson-Odoi on the halfway line. Anderson back to Murillo on the far side. Back to Sells in his own area. Launched it down to Alanga, but headed away by Josko Gvardiol. Here's Bernardo Silva. Back to Josko Gvardiol. Mateo Kovacic. Inside to Ruben Diaz. Finds Omar Mamouche back to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva back to Nico O'Reilly. Inside to Rico Lewis. Here's Ruben Diaz. Bernardo Silva. Grealish was brought down by Milenkovic with a little shove in the back midway inside the Nottingham Forest half. And Michael Oliver, the referee today, gives the free kick. That's a turning point here, because Manchester City have picked up form and looks to go through to the FA Cup final. We've got half an hour left. Bernardo Silva's dink free kick was aimed towards the back post, and Ruben Diaz couldn't get a touch. Nor can Murillo to deny Ruben Diaz. And Matt Sells has a goal kick. Well, if the game did end up going to penalties, Edison is on the bench. We know how good he is. But I don't think we're in any position to talk about that right now, because City have been dominant. But Nottingham Forest do have a free kick, and they've taken it quickly. Here's Alanga. Caught out Nico O'Reilly. Alanga with a little chip ball in, but headed away by Ruben Diaz, and Nico O'Reilly plays it back to Josko Gvardiol, who can clear, but only to Milenkovic. Anderson in the centre circle. Back to Murillo, and attack looks neutralised. Back to Anderson, a couple of yards away from the centre circle. Milenkovic in the centre circle. Here's Anderson with a little ball through to Hudson-Odoi, who's warded away by Savinho. And I'll play it back to Anderson, who plays a little ball across to Morgan Gibbs-White, but headed away by Josko Gvardiol. Here's Matias Nunes with a through ball to no man. And Murillo can play it back to Matt Sells. Matt Sells. Murillo. Here's Dominguez. Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Rings out round Wembley Stadium, with half an hour on the clock. Here's Anderson. Back to Milenkovic. Here's Savinho. Back to Rico Lewis. With a sliding challenge. Who finds Chris Wood? But Ortega was on it and came out to win it back. Here's Man City trying to battle past Nottingham Forest defence. Here's Marmouche, but to the tackle by Abbott. Releases it wide for a throw-in on the near side. Jack Grealish with a quick throw. Kovacic, Jack Grealish. Pressure by Alanga, back to Kovacic. Bernardo Silva. Under pressure by Anderson. Bernardo Silva running anyway. Out wide to Marmouche. And here's Bernardo Silva with a little dink back and headed away by Murillo. It's going to be a corner to the boys in blue. Lovely defending by Murillo, but lovely, lovely play by Bernardo Silva. Man City have been very, very good so far. And the City fans know what Wembley's all about. These nights, they know what winning is meant to be. Here's Bernardo Silva's corner, but headed away. Marmouche picks it up on the left-hand side, the near side. Marmouche back to Jack Grealish. Marmouche with a little skill, but saved and tipped over the crossbar by Matt Sells. Really lovely bit of skill from Omar Marmouche, who slipped in the shooting action, and Matt Sells can tip it over the crossbar on his near post. And it's really good. Marmouche got a goal in the last round against Bournemouth. You got the winner in that one. What can he do here? Marmouche back to Jack Grealish. Marmouche in the area near side, but back and smothered by Matt Sells. It's not one yet, but Dominguez can clear it away. Can Jack Grealish get in front of it and deny Alanga? He gets in front of Alanga. Can't win the ball, goes out for a throw to the boys in blue. Here's Rico Lewis on the halfway line, back to Bernardo Silva, who's been instrumental to Manchester City's second half. Here's Bernardo Silva. The little dink across to Josko Gvardiol. Let's go Guardiola, walking pace, stand still, back to Ortega, who's about a couple of yards outside his tee. Here he is. Ruben Diaz driving through the pressure. Finds Matias Nunes with a slightly heavy touch, but the cross is whipped in. No one was in the area. Here's Omar Marmouche with a cut outside. Back to Jack Grealish, who's driving at Dominguez, who's Omar Marmouche. Abbott in front of him. And wins it for Nottingham Forest. And here's Langer breaking. He's got Chris Wood with him. Finds Chris Wood. He's forced out wide from Man City's defending. They've got numbers back. Here's Alanga on the far side of the penalty area. And it's Gibbs White! But a lovely, lovely shot. Rattled off the crossbar. Lovely, lovely craft from Nottingham Forest. And I thought that went in for a second. I was preparing myself. But perfection! But the crossbar reverberated to deny. It was behind him. He went back on the volley. And crossbar rattled. What a strike! Inches off from halving the gap. Gibbs White has been booked. Lovely striking effort from him. Here's Jack Grealish, brought down. Here's Gibbs White. Here's Milenkovic driving into space. Finds Anderson in space, driving near the far side. Forced away. Anderson. Here's Hudson-Odoi, far side. Puts a ball across, but headed away by Ruben Diaz and cleared away by Jack Grealish. Lovely, lovely play from Manchester City. Really lovely play from Nottingham Forest, but good defending from Manchester City. It's that good of a game that I don't know what I'm saying at this point in time. Here's Morgan Gibbs White. Here's Milenkovic across to Hudson-Odoi on the far side, back to Morgan Gibbs White, who stands still, plays it back to Dominguez. About halfway inside this Man City half. Anderson with a little flick across to Gibbs White. Here's Hudson-Odoi, far side. Into Anderson in the area. He's got a bit of space to drive. Tried to bend it in the near post, but it bends wide. The fans are trying to get Nottingham Forest back, but they've been good so far for Nottingham Forest, but not good enough, I would say. Ruben Diaz is going to take the goal kick. Back to Ortega, who'll off one line. The big head of Milenkovic was in front of it. Here's Nico O'Reilly, cleared away by Milenkovic. And he throw it is a couple of yards, a couple of metres away from the halfway line. Awonyi, I think it is, and Sanker will be coming on for Nottingham Forest to try get a goal. Try get 2 goals, maybe even 3 in the limited time left. 23 minutes left on the clock. We're 68 minutes in. Here's Omar Marmouche. Inside to the centre circle. Here's Savinho, gives it away to Dominguez. Here's Hudson-Odoi on the far side. Here's Toffolo with a cross. And it was easily smothered by Ortega Moreno. Here's Bernardo Silva. Across to Guardiola. Kovacic in his own D, driving into the space. Here's Mateo Kovacic. Bernardo Silva walking to the space. Here's Kovacic. Ruben Diaz. I think Jeremy Docker will be coming on as well for Jack Grealish. Here's Mateo Kovacic in his own penalty area. Oh, and there's a bit of trouble here! And Gibbs White had an open net because there was a bit of a confusion in the City back line. And Ortega was off his line. Gibbs White nicked it off him. And it hit the post. Nearly Nottingham Forest. Really, really strong play. As here's Marmouche down the other end. Jack Grealish. Warded away. And he's on the halfway line. Brought down by Murillo. 2 for the free kick. But Gibbs White, unlucky boy. Silly, lucky to get away with it. As it was a lazy, really, really lazy from Ortega. And Guardiol as Gibbs White looked to guide it into his own net. But to no avail. There's been 2 quick-fire goals at Anfield. It is 5 goals to 1. It's Mo Salah with the first. His first non-penalty goal for a long while. And it's an own goal by Udogie as well. It's a double change for Nottingham Forest and a singular change for Manchester City. It's Gundogan who's going to be coming on for Jack Grealish, and it's going to be Anderson coming off for Sangare. And it's Awonyi coming on for Chris Wood. Nottingham Forest are really unlucky, I'll tell you. It was at a tight angle, but it had an open net. That actually had a 0.44. Doesn't quite sound right, does it? Obviously, we can't show it to you. But, well, he was unlucky. Later, maybe you'll see the pictures that he was an unlucky boy. Here's Bernardo Silva, short back pass to Ortega, but he could easily get the pass. It was a slight scurry. Well, in the second half, Nottingham Forest have been well dominant. In the first half, they didn't have a shot at all. But in the second half, they've had a lot of shots. Here's Gundogan looking to break with his first few touches. Omar Mamouche down the left. Back to Gundogan, near side. Back to Kovacic, Gundogan, Kovacic. Back to Ruben Diaz. Finds Rico Lewis. In the midfield is Savinho. Savinho driving. Inside. Little pass across to Omar Mamouche. Back to Kovacic. Gundogan in the area. He's got a bit of space. Closed down quickly. Here's Nico O'Reilly to shoot. Savinho! No! O'Reilly! No again! Blocked by Abbott. But lovely, lovely play from City to break down Nottingham Forest. It was Kovacic with a little short pass to Nico O'Reilly, and what a chance. It was Murillo with a block against Savinho, and Abbott with a block against Nico O'Reilly. Solid play so far. As Gundogan is going to take the corner. He's got a fresh trim here for Wembley. Ilkay Gundogan, he's going to put the corner into the far post. Head away by Dominguez, and Nottingham Forest can't break because Gundogan has it again on the near side. Finds Omar Mamouche. near the touchline, a couple of yards away. Back to Gundogan, who's gonna go inside outside. Back to Marmouche. Marmouche with a bit of skill past Abbott. Marmouche with a little flat back to Gundogan, but he's warded away by Dominguez. Back to Kovacic, and Alanga can't deny making the pass down line to Gundogan. Here's Nico O'Reilly, but a nice challenge by Sangar. Here's Gundogan with a switchfield ball to Bernardo Silva on the far side. Bernardo Silva running. Straight Savinho. Back to Mateus Nunes. Nunes back to Kovacic, who nearly didn't get the touch, but just about kept it. Here's Guardiola. Inside centre circle to Mateo Kovacic, who gets past the pressure of Dominguez. Here's Savinho running into the space. Here's Savinho with a cross! The face-off goal. And Gundogan has it on the near side. Back to Marmouche. Has a little bit of space. Warded away by Sangar. Here's Ilkay Gundogan. Back to Kovacic. Back to Bernardo Silva. Inside the centre circle, Ruben Diaz. Far side is Mateus Nunes. Savinho, who can't control. And out of play. Nottingham Forest throw. Solid spell of possession for Manchester City, wearing their blue. There's about 5,000 unsold seats for Manchester City, but that doesn't matter because they're winning right now. The Champions League is really important for the boys in blue. Alanga with a ball in, but smothered by Stefan Ortega Moreno, who's going to pummel it away to Gundogan. Midway inside the Manchester City half. Stand still, back to Guardiola. Back to Ortega. 2 changes for the boys in blue. It'll be Doku coming on, as well as Phil Foden. Well, I think that, here I was going to say that something about Doku, but Marmouche has it, and Mateus Nunes stumbled over his own feet as he had space. There's a bit of wind blowing at Wembley. Here's Savinho back to Guardiola. And I think that when Doku comes on, he'll be there to bully Abbott, the youngster, inexperienced. Here's Marmouche against Abbott. Gundogan, pressure by Sangar. Cleared away by Guardiola to Milenkovic for Nottingham Forest. Morgan Gibbs-White with the ball over the top, but can't find Anthony Alanga because Nico O'Reilly brought him down, and that will be a yellow card for the 20-year-old. Nico O'Reilly just tugged him down to deny the attack, and there's going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest, just in line on the near side with the 6-yard area. Just in line with the penalty spot, actually. I beg your pardon. It's going to be Alanga who's going to take this free kick. There's a one-man wall. It's Silva. It's guided near post, but headed away by Gundogan. Alanga. Silva cleared away. Abbott, Toffolo in the centre circle inside on the halfway line to Milenkovic. Here's Toffolo inside to Sangar. Here's Milenkovic. And Sankare. Across to Abbott on the halfway line, back to Milenkovic. In the centre circle, walking into space is Murillo on the halfway line, plays a pass across to Gibbs-White, who has space to run down the far side. Here's Gibbs-White cutting inside with a change of play up to Alanga. Alanga on the near side with a ball in to the far post! And it was Hudson-Odoi, and it was a 1 year against Woodwork. And it's Gibbs-White palmed away by Ortega. Nearly there for Nottingham Forest. 3 big opportunities for Nottingham Forest. Here's Marmouche down the other side, but Milenkovic was in front of him. And Sells can clear away, but Nottingham Forest nearly there thrice. Abbott's down. But what a chance. Let's have another look at it. As Alanga got the better of Nico. Oh, wow. Head into the hands of. Head by Gibbs-White into the hands. Lovely, lovely save by Ortega. It was really good. Really strong save. There's going to be a substitution. It'll be Marmouche coming off for Doku, and it'll be Savinho coming off as well for Phil Foden. Jeremy Doku will try to bully Abbott as he did to Matty Cash on Tuesday. It's part of the reason why Abbott's gone down, because, well, he knows Doku's coming on, and Doku is so strong in situations. That's Rico Lewis's tuck turn finish, and Josko Gvardiol had a neat header. As there are 8 minutes for Forest to save themselves, it's red lights. So far, City have denied them. But really, they should have taken their chances better. They have had more XG despite being 2 down. This is one of them situations where the stats are in Forest's favour, but it's not quite right for them. Abbott is going to come off due to injury, and it will be Ramon Souza coming on, and it will be Nicholas Dominguez coming off for Jota Silva, as Nottingham Forest make an attacking change. 2 attacking changes, I beg your pardon, to try find a winner in this one. Here's Phil Foden. Bernardo Silva, Mateus Nunes. Bernardo Silva, far side. He's going to try get past Toffolo. Bernardo Silva tried to play Kovacic. Warded away. Phil Foden. Mateus Nunes back to Bernardo Silva. Here's Jeremy Doku against Jota Silva. He's just running, and then the pace gets the better of him. But Jota Silva back recovers, puts a foot in, and it's going to go for a blue throw. Nico O'Reilly to take it. Well, it's Jota Silva, the Portuguese Jack Grealish. It does look a little bit like him. Here's Nico O'Reilly with a throw. Jota Silva getting the better of Doku again. There's 4 minutes of normal time left to go. There was 6 minutes, I beg your pardon. Here's Nico O'Reilly. tussling against Alanga and Sangair on the corner flag of the near side, and Jota Silva can clear away. Here's Bernardo Silva's head flicked on Kovacic, and the head of Gundogan puts it out of play for a throw into Nottingham Forest, about 5 metres from the corner flag. Here's Awonyi, flicked away by Rico Lewis. Gibbs White flicks onto Hudson-Odoi on the far side against Phil Foden on the halfway line. Back to Gibbs White, who can get the better of Bernardo Silva. Gibbs White driving the little ball through to Souza, who can get the required touch back to Awonyi. Back to Alanga, who could not turn the ball into the back of the net. But Nico O'Reilly with a superb challenge. Could have been offside. The ball didn't go in the net. VAR could not have a look at it. Therefore, if there were any cries, it would be to no avail. Five minutes. City are 2 up here at Wembley. At the moment, they're going to face Crystal Palace in the Emirates FA Cup final of 2025. And, well, they've got a good record against... Last time they played Crystal Palace, it was 5-2. They did come from 2-0 down. But there is cup magic. Here's Souza with a touch against Nico O'Reilly, who can physically get the better of him. Sosa does go down despite the challenge. And Nico O'Reilly cleared it, came off Sosa, and it's goal kick. Is it time for player of the match? I think it is. And for me, it's got to be... Oh, I'm not sure. I think Alanga has been good. So has Gibbs White. But Silva, I don't know. Ortega's been booked for delaying the restart. Here's Alanga, out wide is Hudson-Odoi on the far side, cuts inside, little dink ball but headed away by Ruben Diaz. Here's Kovacic breaking, finds Ilkay Gundogan on the halfway line breaking, finds Jeremy Doku, back to Mateo Kovacic on the halfway line is Nico O'Reilly, Jeremy Doku, warded away by Sangare. Here's Kovacic, finds Bernardo Silva in the centre circle, who's given it away. Here's Callum Hudson-Odoi breaking. Can't find Ilanga, or can he? He can. Here's Hudson-Odoi on the far side. Back to Morgan Gibbs White. Little ball across, but cleared away by Gvardiol, who is in front of Awonyi. Good defending by him. Here's Jeremy Doku, who slides down under the pressure of Sosa. And City have a free kick. And with 2 minutes left to go, Kovacic is the player of the match. Mateo Kovacic has been a really good player today, and he's won the Man of the Match award. He's going to come off for Nico Gonzalez, if I'm not wrong in saying. It's Nico Gonzalez back to Ortega. who will off one long to find Phil Foden, but headed away by Toffolo. Here's Matteo Nunes. Ball went out of play. And it will be Crystal Palace playing Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Nottingham Forest have had a really excellent season, but FA Cup over with 30 seconds on the clock. Can they get an equaliser? 2 quick-fire goals? I don't think so. As Ruben Diaz with a sliding challenge to deny Gibbs White. Here's Matheus Nunes with a clearance on the far side. Milenkovic. Toffolo battling with Foden on the halfway line. Nunes can win it. Tries to find Jeremy Doku, can't, and Jota heads back to Sells. How many added on? It will be 4 minutes for Forest to save themselves. Sangare upfield to Alanga, but Matheus Nunes and Ruben Diaz in front of him, and Ortega Moreno can smother. Well, there is Chairman, Manchester City. Not Sheikh Mansour, no. Only last time I went to a City game was the Champions League final. Let's all do the Poznan. Rings out around Wembley Stadium. Because City, Manchester City have looked to win the game. As Oasis, they do. The Poznan, the Gallagher brothers, can perform here at Wembley in August. Hudson Odoi goes down. Manchester City wants to take the throw in, but a free kick given instead to Nottingham Forest. It'll be Murillo with a ball whipped into the box. By the looks of it, City, best team in the land and all the world, rings out round Wembley as Murillo puts one into the far post. Milenkovic headed across, but Gvardiol can head it out of play for a last minute corner to Nottingham Forest with 2 minutes left on the clock. What can they conjure? It'll be Alanga to take it at the near side. It will need to be perfect from here on in. As Alanga, and headed over by Jota Silva. It did take a deflection, so says the referee. Another corner it is. Alanga to take it again. With 1 minute 30 left. Can they get a goal back? Alanga with a corner to the far post. Can't find anyone. Does find Hudson-Odoi on the far side of the penalty area. Hudson-Odoi warded away by Bernardo Silva. Put in there, but headed away by Gundogan. And kept alive, but Ortega can keep his hands to it. And here's Jeremy Doku with the pace to break away on the counter-attack. He's on the left-hand side. He's smothered between Souza and Jota. And he was sandwiched too much. And a free kick to Manchester City in a dangerous position. I think it will be... There is a yellow card brandished. And it was to Souza. Last minute free kick here. Everyone has played their part. They're going to do last minute time wasting tactics. Manchester City as free kick taken short. Gundogan pass ricocheted off Jota. City have really deserved to win. They've been dominant. The business end of the season is when City come alive as Jota heads it out of play with 10 seconds left on the clock. It's over. Nottingham Forest can't get the comeback. Man City have been so good. As there it is! The struggle of City can end in cacophonic joy for City. Because, well, they're through to the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. It was Rico Lewis early doors with a ricochet. Blue Moon rings from the PA because Guardiola's goal from his head was bloody lovely. Excuse my French. It's been beautiful. The boys in blue, Pep Guardiola, just knew what to do to wear down his opponent as Nottingham Forest bow their heads. Man City rise. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester City 2. The full-time whistle has gone off. And the other full-time whistle that's gone off is at Anfield. It ends Liverpool 5, Tottenham 1. There will be a trophy lift to come, because Liverpool have won the Premier League for the 24-25 season. They are champions. Because, well, Arne Slot on his debut season has won Liverpool the league. I'll hand you over to Peter Drury.
Undemonstrative. Twice now for Alisson too. Still the epitome of calm resistance. Some are doing it for the first time. Robertson another two-time. But there is the core, and there are the stars, and there are those who have felt this before, but without the embrace of Liverpool's people. How can Trent consider walking away from this? The days for which
we have
and there is the liver bird back on its perch.
victory for two teams. One wearing blue, one wearing red. It's been a lovely day for football. It's Palace v City in the final of the FA Cup, and it's Liverpool who are champions of the Premier League. Thank you for joining us on this Champions Day. Thank you.